Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1627B, and today's date is July 31st, 2018, and the title of the episode is Exposing the Truth Comes with Pain, Confusion, and Proof. Divided becomes one. Let's get into the economic collapse, political, and geopolitical news. Now, it looks like Mueller has run into a roadblock here, and we know that this whole Russian collusion thing is fake, phony, and false. And Mueller really has nothing. He indicted Russian companies. They came over to the U.S. He's trying to battle that. He indicted other Russians because he knows that they're not going to be coming over here, or maybe they will, because they know that there's no type of mechanism to bring the Russians over, and this is why he's doing this. He also indicted Paul Manafort, which Q has been saying that Paul Manafort is a plant, which most likely he is. But what's very interesting about this is that Robert Mueller is not going to show any evidence of collusion at all. He's not going to bring any evidence to court regarding that charge at all. They're just going to be talking about other things like how he got money from Ukraine. And this really has nothing to do with Russian collusion or anything like that. So what do you do with a plant if you can't find any Russian collusion, but you know he had dealings with Ukraine, because we know Mueller was part of it and many others. So he's using that to make everyone think that, oh, look, I found some dirt on Manafort. So this whole thing right now is completely fake, phony, and false. And even the judge is out there very skeptical of what this whole thing is about, because Mueller's mandate is to find the Russian collusion, which there isn't any. And this is the big problem. Now, we see that there's been secret meetings with the Taliban and the U.S. State Department. And right now, the Taliban representative in Doha has resulted in very positive signals, according to the Taliban official. And the meeting, which is not being officially confirmed, but it is happening in the background, is saying that the sides had agreed to meet again to resolve the Afghan conflict via dialogue. And they've been talking about a ceasefire deal once again. And they're having these discussions outside of the Afghanistan government. And it looks like things are moving forward in a positive way towards peace. And that's what this is all about. Now, you need to remember, the corporate media is out there, and they're spreading propaganda all over the place. I mean, they're back with North Korea, saying that North Korea is going to be creating 1 or 2 ICBM missile systems. And if you look at all the corporate media, the mainstream media, you see that they're running these articles, this news story, the Washington Post. They're saying that, yes, North Korea might be developing a ballistic missile. We have Reuters. They might be building 1 or 2 new ICBMs. The question is, where did this all come from? And if we backtrack it, we find out. Well, first of all, it's a single unnamed U.S. official who claims to be familiar with intelligence. This all came from Sanam-dong research site. And basically, they alluded to the fact that North Korea would have the ability to create 1 or 2 ICBM missile systems. They're not saying they're doing it. They're not saying any of that. And the news organizations ran with it. There is no direct evidence right now that North Korea is doing this. North Korea just dismantled a test launching site for liquid-fueled ICBMs days ago. And what we're seeing here is that one little news story that is completely fake, phony, and false, and they cite an unnamed U.S. official. They pass this along with some satellite pictures, which really don't show anything, and they say, well, they could create an ICBM. Well, Any country could do anything. This is not evidence. This is propaganda. And we're seeing it all throughout the mainstream media. And this is completely fake, phony, and false. There's no reason for North Korea right now to start to develop missile systems. What would be the reason? They have a peace deal with the United States. They're going to be making economic deals with China, Russia, the United States, South Korea, and the rest. South Korea and North Korea, there's peace going on. North Korea just returned the remains of some of the soldiers, the U.S. soldiers, to the United States. There'd be no reason for them to go back on all this, because look at both sides. One is war and one is economic growth, working with other countries, bringing people together. And we can see right now that the Korean top generals, they're going to meet and they're going to find ways to reduce military tension. They're also removing troops from the DMZ. They're calling it a peace zone. Pretty soon that's going to disappear. And what's happening here is the deep state, they are struggling. They don't know what to do. And they're making up stories to convince everyone that these deals are not working out, but they really are. Now, we also see this with Iran. Now, the corporate media, the mainstream media, they're out there and they're saying, this deal's not going to work. We hear sides from the Iranian officials. Of course, what's happening here is the deep state is controlling the news that is coming out of this. And you can see that all the rhetoric is going back and forth, just like we saw back in North Korea. Trump has already said that, listen, we are ready to have talks with no preconditions. This is how it started with North Korea. And soon, Trump says, we're going to hear from Iran. Of course they are. They want a deal. They want peace. Iran hasn't started a war in 200 years. And they're not going to start one right now. Maybe the deep state, yes. But the Iranian people, they don't want a war. The people in the United States, they don't want a war. Who wants a war? The deep state. But we can see that things are moving in a positive direction right now. We see out in Syria, for the first time since 2014, the Syria's entire border with the Israel-occupied Golan Heights has been declared militant-free after both the rebel and the Islamic State fighters conceded their last positions. So Syria right now has taken control of the occupied Golan Heights border. And we see at this point, it is game over. The white helmets are out. The Islamic State, Al-Qaeda, Al-Sham, moderate rebels, they have nowhere to run. They're changing sides. There's nothing left here. The coalition forces that are in Syria, they're going to be coming home. And I believe this is going to happen very, very soon. We see Q has dropped many posts here. We're going to go through a couple today, and we're going to continue on tomorrow. July 29th, Q, post 1741. These are tweets by President Trump. First one, our great country has been divided for decades. Sometimes you need protest in order to heal, and we will heal and be stronger than ever before. The next tweet, I want to applaud the many protesters in Boston who are speaking out against bigotry and hate. Our country will soon come together as one. And then underneath, Q put, listen very carefully. Left a link to a video with Nunes talking about classified information. POTUS, legal in review. Huber, something big is about to drop. Now, going back a couple of reports, we talked about Q, and also Q talked about how President Trump is waiting for someone to say, hey, declassify the reports. And what they're worried about is that this is going to interfere with Huber's investigation. And on this video here, Nunes is saying, should the president get involved with the Department of Justice documents? The question, has just been asked. They want to know, should this be done? The ball is rolling now. So POTUS wants to declassify the stuff, but he also doesn't want to jeopardize Huber's ongoing investigation. So he's conferring with Huber beforehand to make sure the most important redactions stay in place for now. Post 1749. There's another link to Reddit, The Great Awakening comments, and there's a letter, and we're going to get to that in a minute. And went on to say, patriots are united in their pursuit of common goals. Good versus evil, right versus wrong, humanity. Power over another person is not okay. Patriots are not divided. Borders do not separate us. We fight together. We are strong together. We the people. Where we go one, we go all. Now, this is the link and the letter that Q has been pointing to, and I'll read this letter here. I am one of the many who are watching these historic events unfold from the outside. I am neither American-born, not domiciled. I have visited your fair country on several occasions during my 50 years on this planet. I have always felt an affinity with you, the average Joe American. That is because the average Joe American is warm, welcoming, decent, and brave. You respect those that have put on your military uniform and risked all for your country, and I respect that. You honor your founders and your foundational and very unique constitution, and I can respect that. You look out for your communities and families, and I can respect that too. You have, in essence, a decency and a strength that is truly worthy of a moniker American exceptionalism. America is not just a word or idea. It is a people who share common values of freedom, independence, equality, family loyalty. I appreciate this message is going to sound a little corny, but I see you being attacked by half the country. I see the frustration in some of you that arrests are not coming fast enough. I saw tonight Q's frustration that we weren't seeing the progress that was coming right before our eyes, nor the complexity and danger of the war that was raging around us. We have all been chosen by God to live in this period of history, a time when all likelihood the United States is all that stands between our civilization's totally capitulation to this evil, and a future that we would want to pass on to those who inherit this earth from us. However, it is you, the citizens of the United States of America, that are bearing the greatest burden in this fight. Your media likes to tell you that you are despised throughout the world, that anti-Americanism is widespread, and that you should tread more lightly. I would like to say to you that that is bullshit. What is happening at this moment in time, led by your president, and this phenomenon of Q is attracting the attention and support of the world. We are you, and you are us. We share your contempt for the corruption, for those that would sell out the interests of our countries for their own benefit, and most egregiously harm our children in ways we had not even believed were possible. As you are attacked by both your own and the international media, and those in your community who have not yet or may never wake up to what has and is happening, please know that you are not alone in this fight. What you are doing is inspiring, it is glorious and just. To President Trump and Q, and those at the sharp end of this war, whilst not American citizens, please know that we outsiders are in awe of you and those who stand beside you. We know that this has not been attempted before. We see the gravity of what is unfolding, and the courage and spirit it took to engage such an enemy. It is clear that this international cabal still has the ability to inflict pain and death, and no hesitation to do so. It is hidden, clever evil, and well dug in. Lest we forget, this is a real war, and good people are dying. Please know that there are many out there who understand your sacrifices and the risks being taken on our behalf. Thank you, God bless you all. Where we go one, we go all. Post 1750, July 29th. And there's another link here, which we'll get to in a minute. They do not want you asking questions. This is coming from Q. They do not want you thinking for yourselves. They do not want you united. They want you to live in fear divided. They want you asleep. They want you blind. The message must bypass the mainstream media. It is the only way. People united hold the power. Think election 2016, power shall be returned to the people. Now the link is this video of MSNBC's Ali Velshi, where he's talking about Q, saying that Apple and Google, they're making money from apps promoting QAnon, Pizzagate conspiracies, and the whole thing is just ridiculous. This is the angle that they're trying to use to say that this is a conspiracy theory. They want Apple and Google to take down the apps, which is ridiculous because you can just go to QAnon Pub and see all the posts and things like that. So this is really all they have. They're just trying to make it seem like it's really, really crazy. Let's move on to post 1751. And basically, Q put back up what we just read, and underneath that, Q went on to say, every CIA Mossad tactic of infiltration and internal disruption is being deployed on this board. The world is here. Recognize. This movement is bigger than anyone can possibly imagine. Peace through strength. Q. So we see right now that Q put C_A, which is CIA, /MOS, which I believe is Mossad. And we see right now that Q is telling us that both of these organizations, well, they're using everything they possibly can to disrupt what is going on here and attacking the board. Post 1752, July 29th, shows a picture of a building and another picture of a building, and put up a link, avenatti.com, buckle up, Q. And this is a direct message to Stormy Daniels' lawyer, especially since they're right outside the office building. And this is the picture of the building of Avenatti's office. And it looks like this corresponds to a tweet that Avenatti tweeted out. And the tweet is, at Rudy Giuliani, are you denying that there were other hush payments made to as yet unnamed women in connection with the 2016 campaign? Asking for some friends, you better buckle up, Buttercup, because Mr. Trump's stupidity and disloyalty is about to catch up to him and you. And you can see that Q said buckle up, which really means this lawyer better buckle up. Post 1753, July 29th, Q, foundation, bottom to top, layers, FISA equals foundation, start, people are more aware of current events, establish link, think criminal illegal acts to prevent overturn presidential election of POTUS, public awareness, evidence introduced, mainstream media covert link, think sessions, open statement, leak investigations, how do you build a home, foundation to structure, layers, Huber, layers, Uranium One, Iran, human trafficking, Haiti, corruption, etc., etc., logical thinking, Q. And what Q is saying here is they're building the foundation to the entire case. Without a firm, steady foundation, you have nothing. And this is what they're doing right now. So if we go back to Q's post from yesterday, where FISA equals start, FISA equals immediate confirm of illegal acts, FISA equals immediate confirmed start of Hussein's spy campaign, and it goes on and on and on, which we read yesterday, we get to understand what is going on here. They have all this information. And we're going to be moving on to post 1754, July 29th. There's a picture of a gentleman standing outside of Avanti's office. And Q went on to say, offices of M.A., Michael Avanti, work on Sunday. Who is supplying feed? Who is financing? Q. So it looks like there's an individual. He's kind of muscular. But an admin came up and searched and found where this individual is standing, and used Google Maps and found the markers on the streets and things like that. And the photo taken at 440 Newport Center Drive, just down the road from Avenatti's law offices. And the Anon was pointing out like 2 valve covers in the pavement in front of the white hydrant, confirming that's where it is. So we see right now that there's an individual there. Was he placed there on purpose? Well, let's find out. Post 1756, July 29th. Anonymous. When the media, driven insane by their Trump derangement syndrome, reveals internal deliberations of our government, it truly puts the lives of many, not just journalists, at risk. Very unpatriotic. Freedom of the press also comes with responsibility to report the news. Under that 2-minute delta, Q says, what a coincidence, mainstream media, Q. And the media is working with Avenatti. That's who is supporting this individual. In 1 year, MSNBC covered Stormy Daniels 455 times. War in Yemen, 0. Think about this for a second. Why is this the #1 outlet of alleged anti-Trump resistance, completely ignoring this most devastating war? I mean, look what they're reporting on here. They're not reporting on what's really going on around the world, what's really at stake and why this is happening. They're reporting on Stormy Daniels, which they created and paid the lawyer and created the entire situation. Post 1757, July 29th. Do you believe in coincidences? And put up twitter.com, Michael Avenatti's status. And Michael Avenatti said, this week promises to be very interesting. Might want to follow my Insta handle, MJ Avenatti. Now, we're going to come back to this in just a minute. And we're going to move on to post 1758, July 29th. Anonymous put up a tweet by John Brennan. Your wrong-headed protectionist policies and antics are damaging our global standing as well as our national interests. Your worldview does not represent American ideals. To allies and friends, be patient, Mr. Trump, is a temporary aberration. The America you once knew will return. Q wrote, this is not a game. Q. Now, an Anon put this together and went on to say, Avenatti was getting his information from John Brennan, and they both thought POTUS would be dead by the next day because they were in on the unauthorized missile launch assassinations attempt on POTUS. So if you go back, you can see on July 29th, 1757, Q put up the missile launch. Avenatti has a picture of a target on a plane. And right here, we can see that the Anon is saying that Avenatti, who's working with the mainstream media, getting the information from John Brennan, they thought it was all done. And they thought that POTUS would have been dead at this time because of the missile that they launched. Remember, the missile was taken down by an F-16 by a classified weapon. This is what Q is telling us. We're going to be moving on to post 1759. Anonymous, July 29, says, who is the real Michael Avenatti? And an Anon did some digging. Michael Avenatti, the lawyer representing the adult film star Stormy Daniels, released a report Tuesday that detailed payments from corporations to Essential Consulting, a firm linked to Cohen, a payment from Korea Aerospace, which is backed by the South Korean government. Export-Import Bank was among those in the report. Michael Avenatti brokered the deal between Korean Front Company and the United States Air Force through a Cohen shell. Now, you may ask yourself how Michael Avenatti got access to such a United States Air Force contract. Well, Ted Lieu might have helped here. United States Air Force reservist who wears a PH on his lapel without even earning it. Lieu would have access to make the connection for the contract, and given that Liu, 2 years back, attempted to change legality considerations for communists into CA state jobs, I also believe he is directly connected to China through both that and other things that would fill this entire thread. So Liu passes on to Michael Avenatti to set up a deal, who passes on to Cohen for shell company funneling. It is clear those three are in the game. So let's move on to post 1760, July 29th. We have Q putting up the same picture of Michael Avenatti with the plane with the target on there. And it says, start the clock, a week to remember, in brackets, think logically, private class, first private, brackets, class, -5, 6, second public, Blackwater on guard, evidence kills, these people are stupid. Annan cites a Q post from June 10th here, again correlating the date of the attack to the tweets, and remember, this was right before the meeting with Kim Jong-un in Singapore. The whole post was about that meeting. Post 1761. Bigger than you realize. They know the real traffic this is generating, connecting people together. Gave a link to time.com. And it's a story about Q, the most influential internet personalities. Stay the course. Where we go one, we go all. And it's a picture of Q on Time magazine. And what we're seeing here is that all of these individuals are connected. The deep state is not giving up, and they're going to continually fight back as hard as they possibly can. Q is saying, we need to stay together, stay the course. This is building. And if you listen to the beginning posts, we are better together. Remember, when the truth comes out, it's pain, it's confusion. Because what the deep state does is they throw confusion into the mix. They muddy the water so you don't know what's heads or tails. And you got to get through all of this to see what's going on. Just like this North Korean story. It's completely fake. Seems real. Seems like it's on the up and up. But most of their stories do. But when you take it and you research and you go back in time and you find out where it all came from, you see that it's completely fake, phony, and false, like most of the other stories that they have. So the truth is coming out. We're seeing that more information is coming. Nunes is talking about seeing the declassified information should Trump get involved. They're discussing it now with Huber and seeing which parts can be delivered. So we are on our way, and a divided country will eventually become one. And you're going to see people start to realize what is happening, because the truth will always stand tall. Propaganda will fall by the wayside, because once you have facts, once you have truth, people will do research. People will understand, and they'll say, wait a minute, something's not right here. This is why Q is doing this. Remember, you're going to need proof. You're going to need facts. You're going to need evidence. You're going to need researchers. Think about what's going on here, what this whole movement is about. Having thousands upon thousands of people doing research, looking into what all these individuals have done. Remember, it's we the people. And looking into this and creating the proof from all this research, connecting the dots. You have the Q proofs, you have the trust, you have the truth, and people can look at this and they can see what has happened. And this will take a little time, but it will eventually happen, and people will learn the truth, and the propaganda will fall by the wayside. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.